There's something in a miner's life that's familiar to me, for it's only when I'm underground my mind is truly free. Oh, the house that I was raised in on top Montour Ridge was built upon a mine drift through the iron ore within. I dreamed I heard the miners sing at night as I would sleep. Their ghosts still down there digging ore 100 feet deep. And I've sung the song of a miner, though I've never worked below. The words just come to me like it's something that I know. Just a borrowed whisper I heard as a kid. Words of the miners who worked Montour Ridge.
Wilbert, Hupp.
Okay.
And I was born in 1930 down in Juniata County. Okay. And when I was 10 years old, my parents decided they wanted to move away from the farm, and they moved to Milton. And we had a farm for a couple of years, and then we went into town, and my dad worked at a fertilizer plant for a while, and then at Chef Boardi's. And my mom worked at the Fox and That shirt factory. When I got to be 19, I wanted to join the Marines, and my parents wouldn't sign off. Back then, you had to be 21 years old to be on your own. In 1951, I joined the Marines, and I spent 13 weeks taking basic training, and then they shipped me to California. And of course, the Korean War was going on. They put me up out at Camp Pendleton, California, and then up in cold weather training called Pickle Meadows. And I got snowed in for 2 whole weeks. They couldn't get in to get us. They had to drop us sea rations from the air, water. So we really got broke in for Korea. And when I got back to Camp Pendleton, why, there was a letter there from a young lady that she seen my dress blue picture of graduation from Paris Island and seen my next address. And of course she wrote to me, and I got back to Camp Pendleton. Well, I opened this letter up, and it was somebody that lived in this house. and so she didn't realize that she would see me, but they were good to me and gave me 10 days leave. And of course, while I was home in those 10 days, why, I called her up, was going to a birthday party, and asked her if she would want to go out. And I didn't tell her I had a friend along. And I picked her up right here at her front door.
That's where we met, right there.
And so she wrote to me all the while I was in Korea. Then I went to Korea in 52. And I was there till 53. And I come home. And of course, while I was there, why, she was writing to me. And she would put perfume and stuff on the letters. Intimidating me, you know. And all the guys in the camp would want to smell my letters when I got them. And this is true. And we had a great time, you know what I mean. And then I got to Korea, taking out booby trap mines and getting up in the front lines and blowing up trench lines for the guys to have for cover for them. And I finally, while them booby trap mines and stuff, I finally got through that, and we bought the farm in '66, and we're still here.
Enjoy living here and looking at the ridge. We really do.
Yeah, and I bought the farm in '66, and in '67 I'm out there picking with the neighbor's corn picker, and I get caught in a corn picker.
Yeah,
I was in that thing about an hour or so, and finally a couple of hunters came into her and said that somebody's out there hollering for help, and she had to come out and shut the tractor and stuff off for me. And then I had to call a neighbor, Bruce Crumley, and he was one of those guys that repaired farm machinery, and he had a cutting torch on the back of his truck, and he came over and cut me out. The MTs, the guys that came, they didn't know how to do this, and they were city flares, I guess,
Well,
but they couldn't get me out. And anyway, that Bruce Crumley got me out of the corn paper. They took me to Geisinger.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to Geisinger, and they operated on it, and I'm a tough old jarhead, you know what I mean? I don't lay down and die until I'm dead. I went through Korea a whole year, and I've seen a lot worse than that. So they amputated then most of my hand on my right so that this would work. And of course, like I said, I'm a tough old Marine. I go lay down and die, and now I got an artificial leg yet. And I'm still running.
This is Almaretta Schrader I was, and now Hupp, of course. And I was born right here in this house. And my dad and mom my dad bought it in 1922, and he and my mom got married in 24. Or at that time, lots of farms would have a piece of woodland with it, you know. So that's how we got the 10 acres over on the mountain, on the ridge, on Montour Ridge. Because then in the wintertime, my dad would get a neighbor to help him, and they'd go over there and cut down wood and, put it, I don't know, on a sled maybe if it was in the wintertime. And the creek would freeze over solid, and then they would bring the wood across, with the horse and stuff. Of course, or maybe the bridge was there at that time too for some of this, up until a certain point there was a bridge back there. Because, they had a wood cook stove in the kitchen, and right here was a heatrola, to heat the rest of the house and stuff. Yeah, so it took lots of wood. Yeah. Yeah, my dad would cut chunks of ice out of the creek and put it down here in the shed in sawdust, I think. And then they would have ice for, quite a while. Yeah.
Did they just cut it for their own use, or did they also sell it as well?
No, just for their own use.
Okay.
Just for their own use.
Yep, right back there. And my dad was a good ice skater, too. He would go ice skating with us on that creek. Yeah, lots of times.
Yeah, and there was a swinging bridge back there.
Up the creek from there was a swinging bridge, which my sister, Agnes, remembers walking across. Now, I think I do, but, maybe I just remember from them telling me. I don't know.
Sure.
But there's people lived across the creek.
Yeah,
And those kids would come over that swinging bridge to go to school from out here. Now, a lot of them walked. Back in those days, they didn't have buses.
Wow.
I think it was a Headings family. I think it was Mrs. Pardo, I think, was a Headings, and I think she's the one that, I heard say that, or at least I heard stories of it, that she walked across that swinging bridge and went out to the 8-cornered one-room schoolhouse. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, my dad was a farmer, and he really wasn't a hunter, so he didn't go hunting, But now my brother went hunting on the ridge with a friend of his, Bobby Hobbs, and their family. So they hunted on the ridge, and at one time, a lot of people hunted there. And like I said, my dad went over for wood, and then at Christmas time, sometimes they would look for the decorations for Christmas. They'd maybe go across there, or they could have even done it back here in our own woods too.
Okay.
Yeah, and in the meantime, there was a dead stock plant back there also. That they actually took dead animals back there and processed them.
Did or
they take dead animals and they burn them up to make fertilizer.
Wow.
Yeah, they processed them.
And it wasn't a very pleasant smell. Because, growing up here, that's one unpleasant thing. If the wind was blowing this away, we got the bad smell. Yes, I think it was in operation till the late 40s or early 50s, I think.
Yeah, I think.
Yes, I think so. Uh-huh. Yeah, and actually right across from where the bridge is, there was a field right there that I think didn't that belong to Frank Dietrich at one time.
Yeah,
I
and then
think, and they farmed that, yes,
and
yeah.
then Schwartzlander bought it.
Yeah, yeah, right across from where the bridge was, there was a nice flat field, and yes, that was farmed when I was growing up.
When you were growing up, did you swim in the Chillisquaque Creek there?
You know, it's funny. uh, my mom, years ago, people didn't learn to swim. There were no community swimming pools. You know what I mean. And so she was kind of scared of the water, and so she would not, let us go play in the creek hardly ever. But when our relatives would come from the city, we had the Yos from down at York would come up to visit. Then we'd all go back and wade around in the creek. Yeah, we did that. But that was something special that we just did when company came.
Oh, they used to, if I remember correctly, used to catch eels and bass and even turtles and frogs and stuff. You could, if it was big enough, they would keep it and eat it. Oh yeah.
So what's Montour Ridge mean to you? Does it serve a purpose in your memories of your life?
Oh, definitely, yes, yeah, because actually our bedroom window looks back to, so it's probably the last thing we look at night, and the first thing we look at in the morning is Montour Ridge, and it when the leaves turn color and everything, I mean, it's beautiful, really, it is. And of course we always feel good because we have 10 acres over there. It's partly ours,
Sort of as you go up, it's pretty rocky, but the power line comes right through it. That big power line. No, that came through after we moved here, because we were already
in the 60s.
Established, and they were coming through, and they didn't even have permission from us. When I had to go after them and tell them, why are you going through my property? And and they stopped work, and then their own surveyors went out and surveyed the land to make sure that I knew what I was talking about, and then they came in and negotiated to pay me so much for. Yeah, they were already pretty near through it. Yeah, because our neighbor Tanoski's over here owned 10 acres right alongside of ours, and they were going through both the properties. Yeah. I said, you think a big company like that would certainly make sure whose land they're on. But what do you do? Oh, once in a while they holler about some snakes over there, but it has to be in the summertime, because they hibernate.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Oh.
I think I only hiked up there once, I think.
That's a beautiful view from over there. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But
well, may I ask you? So you mentioned your accident was 1967. Were you full-time farmer then, or did you have other work, or what?
No, I worked in a furniture factory, Philco, up at Watsontown, for about 20 years.
Yeah, almost 20 years.
And but when I got into corn picker, they gave me my job back. I found another job up in Williamsport with about $70 difference in wages. So I drove to Williamsport for about 5 years. And then I found a job at the Federal Bureau of Prisons. I worked at the Federal Bureau of Prisons in 1975 until 93. In 93, I retired from the federal government.
And over those years that you also had full-time, work, you were also running the farm.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ever animals or just crops?
No, we had some steers, we had pigs, we had chickens, and of course the kids were getting bigger, and the girls would take care of the chickens most of the time, and the boys and me would take care of the hogs. And whenever we had eggs and stuff, of course we sold them. We did a pretty good job. We're still here.
Yeah, the Lord's been good to us, really.
Yeah.
One day at a time with Him.
But how about rattlesnakes, though? You have seen some rattlesnakes in your...
Oh, yeah. I've seen them over on the ridge. I've seen them over there already. Yeah.
And they better stay over there too. Oh, and you know what else? There might be a mountain lion back here on the ridge too. You've heard that, haven't you? Well, we actually saw it, or I didn't. Dawn, where's Dawn? Is she still out there on the porch? Dawn saw it over in the field right across the road here from the barn about 3 years ago, isn't it?
Probably probably 6 or 7 years ago. I was standing out in my driveway, and I happened to look over and I saw something sitting over in the tall grass that my brother had in the field over there at the time. And I saw it and I looked at it, and it was sitting on its backside and had its front feet up, and I thought it looked awfully big to be like a fox or a coyote or anything like that, and it was a light brown color. And so I kept staring at it, and I turned to my husband and my son at the time, and I said, "Look over there." And they looked, and it got up, and when it got up, it turned, and it was a very full-bodied, large animal, which I thought looked like a cat. And when it got up, its long tail came up. It was a long tubular tail, and no fluff on it, just that tubular. And it got up and ran up over the top of the hill and up towards the Montour Ridge.
And this was right by your parents. This is your parents'
Yeah,
farm.
right next to my. I live right next to my parents' farm. I'm right next door, and
Could anyone convince you it was not a mountain lion?
no, not at all.
You know what you saw.
I know what I saw.
You guys.
And I know what foxes and coyotes and everything else are too, and deer.
Thank
Yeah, she saw it right over there in the field. So you know he probably lives over there on Montour Ridge, right?
And we've even had seen bear go through the property. We've seen bear
Oh
go,
yeah,
go
bear
back through
over
it.
there. Yeah.
What about Indians, Native Americans? Did you ever find anything on the farm when plowing? Or
Yeah, arrowheads. Couple. Yeah. Actually, we found one up here in our garden. An arrowhead, yeah. But he's the one that found the one right up here in the garden, and it isn't like that same garden's been dug up and plowed who knows how many, for years and years, and there he finds an arrowhead.
Well, they used to get iron ore, I think, out of them mines is what they did, is what they really.
Or if they were a miner's words sung 100 years before, whispers of a miner's life I've borrowed from the ore. Well, when my time is ended and my songs are sung no more, I've asked you where to bury me in a song I've sung before.
Well, like right inside here, it kind of opened up to where you could almost stand. And then after that, then it would be like on an angle, and it would kind of go on back in.
And did it ever go upwards or just straight in as you were?
Oh, well, you could see like some air shafts going up.
Okay.
They were square looking, so big. I never went in that far. Like maybe 30 yards.
Okay.
So,
But it kept going past that.
mhm.
Don't do that, boys.
Down where the mountains melt and the river flows into the air, take me upon Montour Ridge and sing the miner's prayer. Well, I've sung the song of a miner, though I've never worked below. The words just come to me like it's something that I know. Just a borrowed whisper I heard.
Okay, well that goes on up in there, probably 50 feet. But this whole side, as you can see, these rocks come this way. This whole side kind of has collapsed, which that's the way it was when we were little, though. Too, it is collapsed. But you could probably squeeze through and get back up in there, probably another 30 feet or so, for sure. But yeah, there's a mess of ore and stuff in there.
No timbers?
Nope.
What would you catch out of here?
all kinds of bass and pike, catfish, eel. Well, it really got warm once PP&L started dumping their wastewater into it, and then it warmed it up, and then all the fish went away. Well, there's an old home site down here. Okay, you know, like you can still see the foundations down there. So, and there used to be like a person bridge, like a swinging bridge here. And so to get to school, why they'd have to cross this bridge and walk all the way in there, I think, to the Eight Corner Schoolhouse. And this right here was a field at one time. Yep, that was a field. And one farmer used to farm there. But you're right there, why it is on the rise.
Heard as a kid words of the miners who worked Montour Ridge. The miner is gone, we'll see